In this video, I'm going to show you how to actually fill in the unit circle, all the values, so all of the degree measurements of all the angles, all the radian measurements, and then all of the ordered pairs around the unit circle. There will be a separate video explaining where these measurements, where these values actually come from, but today this video is just to explain how to fill in the unit circle. So just a few quick reminders. This is on the coordinate plane, so this is your x-axis going across here, this is your y-axis, the center of your circle is at 0, 0, and the radius of the unit circle is equal to 1. So I'm going to start by looking at the degrees, so the angles going around the unit circle in degree measurement. So this angle right here is 0 degrees, so if we haven't moved any, we just have a angle that's on the x-axis at 0 degrees. And I like to go in a pattern. I like to do 90 degrees first. So we know a right angle, so straight up here, this is 90 degrees. And then a straight line would be 180 degrees. 90 more degrees, so another right angle would be 270 degrees. And then finally, back around, a full circle we know is 360 degrees. Then I like to do half of that. I like to do the 45 degree angles. So half of 90, that's this angle right here that's in the middle, halfway between 0 and 90, is 45 degrees. Then 45 plus 45 is 90. We already have that angle listed. 90 degrees plus 45 more degrees is 135 degrees. Plus 45 more is 180. We already have 180. 180 plus 45 is 225. 225 plus 45 is 270. 270 plus 45 is 315, and then 315 plus 45 takes us back to 360 degrees. The remaining angles in terms of degrees are all multiples of 30. So this is 30 degrees, plus 30 more is 60 degrees, 60 plus 30 is 90, 90 plus 30 is 120, 120 plus 30 is 150, 150 plus 30 is 180, 180 plus 30 is 210. So you see the pattern just keeps going here. 210 plus 30 is 240. 240 plus 30 is 270. We already have 270. 270 plus 30 is 300. 300 plus 30 is 330. 330 plus 30 more is 360. And so we have all of our angles in terms of degree going around the unit circle. I'm going to continue that same pattern now to get our angles in terms of radian measure. So again, this angle right here, 0 degrees, which would be 0 pi. I like to do every 90 degrees as well, but on this one I'm going to start with 180. You should know the relationship that 180 degrees is equal to pi, okay? And so half of 180 is 90, so half of pi is pi over 2. So every 90 degrees in terms of radian is going to be a new pi over 2. So we have 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, but that simplifies to pi, we already have that. 3 pi over 2 is 270 degrees, and then 4 pi over 2 is 2 pi. Then just like I did with degrees, after I did the 90 degrees, then I did half of 90, so I did the 45 degrees. So if I take pi over 2, and I split it in half, half of pi over 2 is pi over 4. So every 45 degrees is a multiple of pi over 4. So we have 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, but notice that simplifies, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, which is pi, we already have that, 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, we already have it, reduces to 3 pi over 2, 7 pi over 4, and then finally 8 pi over 4 simplifies back to 2 pi. All the others, just like we did with the degrees, are multiples of 30 degrees, and 30 degrees is pi over 6. So this is 1 pi over 6. This is 2 pi over 6, but every even pi over 6 is going to simplify. So 2 pi over 6 simplifies to pi over 3. 3 pi over 6 would be pi over 2. 4 pi over 6, 4 over 6 is going to simplify to 2 pi over 3. 5 pi over 6. 6 pi over 6 is pi. 7 pi over 6. 8 pi over 6 is going to simplify to 4 pi over 3. 9 pi over 6 is 3 pi over 2. 10 pi over 6 is going to be 5 pi over 3. 11 pi over 6. And finally, 12 pi over 6 simplifies and gets you back around again to 2 pi. So that takes care of all of your degree measurements and all of your radian measurements for all of your angles going around the unit circle. The next thing I want to look at are these ordered pairs, these values. And again, there will be a separate video explaining where these actually come from. I just want to show you how to fill them in. First, I'm going to do the 4 90-degree points. We know that the circle has a radius of 1, and the center here is at 0, 0. So if I go 1 straight across, this point would be 1, 0. If I go 1 straight up, this point would be 0, 1. If I go to the left 1, this point would be negative 1, 0. And if I go down 1, this point would be 0, negative 1. The next thing I do before I actually fill in these last remaining values is I look at whether these values are going to be positive or negative. We know over here in quadrant 1, all of these points, the x values are positive and the y values are positive. In quadrant 2, over here on the top left, we know that the x values are negative and the y values are positive, so I like to go ahead and put a little negative for my x values. That way I don't forget to make the negative, the x value a negative. Down here in quadrant 3, we know that x's and y's are both negative, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little negative on all of these points. And then finally in quadrant 4, we know that x's are positive and y's are negative, so all the y values of these points should be negative. Now, in order to fill these in, this is kind of a trick just to help you, or a method, a pattern to help you fill all these in. Again, separate video explaining where the values actually come from. All of the denominators on all of these points are 2. So I go through on every single point, every single denominator should be a 2. Again, I've already taken care of whether it's a positive or a negative based on which quadrant the point is in. And so that takes care of all the denominators. And then I focus just up here on quadrant 1. Okay, again, it's kind of a pattern. So we start on the top left and we count down 1, 2, 3, and then we count back up 1, 2, 3. Now what we need to do is we need to take the square root of all of the numerators. The square root of 1 though is 1, so I'm not going to put a square root over 1 because it would simplify to just 1. Square root of 3, square root of 2, square root of 2, square root of 3, and then finally again square root of 1 is just 1. This gives you your ordered pairs in quadrant 1. Now here's what's nice about the unit circle. These points correspond to all of these points in the other 3 quadrants. The only difference is whether or not the point changes from all positives to a negative, and we've already taken care of that. In quadrant 2, the x's are negative. Quadrant 3, x and y values are negative. Quadrant 4, just the y values are negative. So every multiple of pi over 4, except for the 90 degrees, which we already have, are going to be square root of 2 over 2, comma square root of 2 over 2. So right here, 3 pi over 4, we've got square root of 2 over 2. Again, x is negative, and y is also square root of 2 over 2. Same thing here with 5 pi over 4, negative square root of 2 over 2, and negative square root of 2 over 2. And then finally, 7 pi over 4 is square root of 2 over 2, and then negative square root of 2 over 2. So again, if you know this one value, then you know all the pi over 4s in the other 3 quadrants. Every pi over 6 is the same point as well, just depends on whether it's positive or negative. So here at 5 pi over 6, it's also going to be square root of 3 over 2. The only difference is x is negative, and the y value is 1/2. We have another pi over 6 at 7 pi over 6, so it's going to be a negative square root of 3 over 2 and a negative 1/2. And our final pi over 6, 11 pi over 6, is going to be a positive square root of 3 over 2 and then a negative 1/2. The final points all correspond to pi over 3. So every pi over 3 is going to be 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. In quadrant 2, it's a negative 1/2 and a positive square root of 3 over 2. In quadrant 3, 4 pi over 3 is going to be a negative 1/2 and a negative square root of 3 over 2. And finally, in quadrant 4, 5 pi over 3 is going to be a positive 1/2 and a negative square root of 3 over 2. So those are all the values on your unit circle. Again, see the different video on how to figure out how to actually find these values, where these values are coming from. Check out the next video.